And now, the star of the show, Jordan Rogozinski.
Hello, folks, and I'm here with a local legend by the name of Jordy Douglas, who played with another legend by the name of Dale Hawerchuk and Gordie Howe, and played against Wayne Gretzky. His rookie season was 1979. He played with the Jets in 1983, 84, is that right?
You're doing well. Keep going.
And 85.
Yep.
Well, thanks for being on my show.
Thank you, pal. Thank you.
First, I want to start off. How was your path to make it to the pros for you?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for coming out. I grew up in Winnipeg. I grew up what's known as Garbage Hill, west end of the city, Strathcona. And I played all my playground hockey at Clifton and Isaac and St. James. And when I was 15 years old, I played for a fellow by the name of Nick Hill. Anybody know Come On Down and Get Your Furniture and Get Your Couches? Nick Hill was my coach.
I know him.
Yeah?
I saw his commercial.
You bet. And so everybody makes fun of Nick, but Nick was one of the best hockey coaches I ever had. And he turned about 6 or 8 of us into junior players. And I left Winnipeg when I was 16, into my 17th year, and I went and played for the Flin Flon Bombers of the Western Hockey League. That's how I started. I spent 3 years in Flin Flon playing hockey during the day and working in the mine in the morning.
What was the reason that made Hill so good as a coach?
Well, he coached with a fellow by the name of Carl Kaiser. Carl was another old player. Both of them had experience playing minor hockey. And they played not only in Winnipeg, but they played in the old International League and the old Central League in the States. So when they came and got involved coaching here, they were what would be called old school. Old school was you did what you were told to do, not what you think you should do. So if you wanted to play with Nick Hill and you wanted to learn the game, you did what you were told. I'll give you an example. The parents used to hang around our dressing room to listen to the dissertation between periods of what the coach would say to us. They learned as many words as we learned in the dressing room. Language would be very blue in today's environment, but they sure got our attention. So you wanted, in our day, when you wanted to be a player, you literally did what you were told to do, and if you did it well, you got to play.
How was it playing hockey and then working in a mine after playing hockey?
Well, we were the highest paid players legally in Canada because we got paid by HBM&S, Hudson's Bay Mining and Smelting. So we would go to the mine. All the players would work in the mine from 8 in the morning till noon. And some of us worked underground. If you worked underground, you got a premium, you got paid a bonus. And if you worked with explosives, which I did, I got danger pay. So at one time, I was legally the highest paid player in junior hockey. We would work 4 hours in the morning, and Flin Flon, the Hudson's Bay would pay us for 8. So we got a check every day, or we got paid every day for 8 hours, including road trips. So if we went on the road, my first road trip in junior was 33 days long.
Holy.
And we did it on a bus. So, we all relate, a lot of us can relate to what happened with Humboldt Broncos. Most of us have experienced, even in this room, having been on a bus, going to play and travel, and we spent my first trip was 33 days on the bus. The advantage though, Jordan, when we got back, we got a month's worth of paychecks for working in the mine that we didn't work that day.
Did you miss your parents for 33 days or not really?
Your family becomes your team. So did I miss my parents? I was so anxious to see how far I could go. My parents opened the door and let me go. It broke my parents' heart, but I was taking one step after the next step to find out how far I could go. So you become family with your team, and you tend to miss them a little bit more than you do your family from time to time.
Was there one guy in junior that kind of brought you in, like to be a family?
Well, I was fortunate. I lived with the same family in Flin Flon for 3 years. This is back in the mid-'70s. that to this day they're still my friends. I still visit them.
Cool, that's cool.
It's very cool. Doesn't happen often because you can be bounced around with families. So I live with the same family, Stu and Emily Robinson. Their kids are now adults with children, and they are my family, and I'm still very close with them.
Now you played with Gordie Howe.
Yep.
What's the best advice that he gave you that you still keep to this day?
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
He did his homework. It applies to everything in life. You can learn, Gordie Howe said to me, you can learn from everybody. Not just those that run a company and not those that just have a better than average job. You can learn from everybody. Gordie Howe would stop and talk to everybody in a room, including those that took care of the room. And to watch him work a room and be respected and regarded, I've tried that my whole life, to be involved with as many people, if not everybody, that I can, because you can learn from everybody.
How was his work ethic as a player?
His or mine?
His and yours.
Okay.
Like, did you learn from him?
Oh, did you ever? One thing, I was always, in my day, in great shape. Not today, but in my day, I could skate. So my asset was skating, and I worked hard to be one of the better skaters. Gordie Howe, and I was, my first year, I was, like I said, when I turned pro, I was 20 years old. He was 51. We would do drills, and anybody who's coached teams, and Rick's here, and anybody who's played this game will understand. You'd do a drill as a player, and you'd go to the back of the line, right? You do a drill, and you go to the back because you've worked hard and you've done the drill. Gordie Howe used to go to the front of the line. He would do the drill at 51 and go back to the front of the line. He never got tired. He never got tired.
At 51?
At
That's
51.
good shape.
No, that's incredible shape. Incredible shape.
How was it to see that as a teammate? Did that inspire you?
Frustrated us. Are you kidding? A guy 51 years old is beating our ass. He was that competitive, and he was in that great a shape. But he drove you to be a better player.
Yeah.
That was the best part.
How was he like watching on the bench? Was he like cool to watch?
He would be the guy next door. There's not many superstars that you would say they're the guy next door, but Gordie Howe was the guy next door. So if you've ever walked out to say hi to your neighbor and you have a nice little chat, and it doesn't matter what he does, Jordan, that was Gordie Howe. Talked with everybody.
And now you played with another legend, or played against Wayne Gretzky, and you told me off camera that he used to look through the glass, and I thought that was pretty cool. Can you explain that to my audience?
Yeah, no. So we all, we all watch Wayne Gretzky. He leads, he has all the records. One of the neatest things you learned with Wayne Gretzky was he would always somehow blindly find his teammates on the ice with a pass. And you'd be wondering as a fan or sitting at home going, how did he see that guy? How did he know he was there? And everyone would say, well, he had this innate ability, which he truly did. But what you might not know, and you might know now, is Wayne Gretzky used to look off the glass. He used the glass as a mirror, as a reflector. And he would see, so everybody, there's 15,000 fans in the stands, he's focused on seeing the reflection off the glass. So he could see where everybody else was on the ice behind him so that he could make the pass. It's now, I understand, a little bit more common. Guys have picked up on it, and those that are focused enough will see that. In my day, most of the places I played, we couldn't do that because we played with chicken wire for mesh. There was no glass in my day.
How was it, like you made the playoffs with the Jets, and you had to face the Oilers pretty much every time.
Yeah.
Was that kind of, not disappointing, but kind of a reality check for you guys?
Well, it was a reality check for everybody. The Stanley Cup went through Edmonton. So if you wanted a chance at at the Stanley Cup, you had to go through Edmonton. The biggest advantage Edmonton had, short of all the offensive players they had, was they had Grant Fuhr. And Grant Fuhrer, if you follow his career, has the highest goals against average, and he's still in the Hockey Hall of Fame, because they played by the mindset that we'll give you 5 goals, but we're going to score 6 or 7. So they had Grant Fuhrer, and they knew he would make these incredibly timely saves to guarantee their win. So every team, Winnipeg included, knew they could score 5 goals and they still might lose 7-5.
Did you ever get close to hitting Wayne Gretzky, or no? Was he too fast?
Well, surprisingly, Wayne wasn't overly fast. There was
He
a guy.
was slick.
He was slick. He was very slick.
Yeah.
He had what we would call peripheral movement. Like we talk about how everybody sees everything like this. He moved that way. Most guys in my era played north-south. We called it plowing a field. You went up and down your field. You did your job. Wayne Gretzky went all over the ice. But a little history here, if you don't mind. The team in Edmonton was patterned after the Winnipeg Jets that had Ulf Anders and Bobby Hull. Anybody? I'm really dating myself here, but if you look at Glenn Sather, when he built his team in Edmonton, he built it on the premise of how successful the Jets were. The Winnipeg Jets set the bar for Edmonton, but it was in the WHA. And that line, or those Europeans, used to weave all over the ice. So remember now, my era, you had a job, you went up and down your wing. They started to go all over the ice in interchange positions. So when you got to Edmonton, and with, Paul Coffey and Anderson and Curry, they did all that, they interchanged. Wayne Gretzky was the best at it. So to hit Wayne Gretzky, you likely had a better chance of him running into you than you running into him. He was all over the ice.
How was it to watch him on the bench? Like, let's say he gets a goal, and it's an amazing goal. How was it to watch his skill?
We're fans. Hockey players are fans, and the hardest part is to get caught up in watching as opposed to playing. So, you've got to focus on what you need to do. But Jordan, there were many times. My first year that I played, so I played WHA, and Wayne at that time started with Indianapolis, but that team folded and he was sold to Edmonton. That year, and so we lost 2 teams that year. We lost Indianapolis that year. We ended up in New England. I played for New England Whalers. We ended up playing Edmonton that year over 20 times. So that's a 6-team, 7-team league, and we played them 20 times. I was a little tired of watching him, but he was even at that time he was 17 years old. Other than being well, put it this way: if you put a helmet on him, he looked like a nail. He was that thin, and everybody thought if you could run into him, you'd hurt him. But nobody could run into him, and his whole career was like that. Nobody could run into him.
How was Dale Hawerchuk as a player?
He did a lot of the same things Wayne Gretzky did with lateral movement. So he had the ability to. The game was evolving, where it wasn't again north-south. It was moving back and moving all up and down the positions, and Dale could play like that. Dale could play up and down the positions. The difference was Dale got hit more than Wayne Gretzky, and teams keyed on him. The Jets had a couple of heavyweights. They had Jimmy Kite, they had a few guys. Edmonton had, they had Dave Semenko. They had a few other heavyweights, and that carried a little bit more weight. So Wayne was a little bit more immune to getting hit, but Dale got hit a little bit more, and it cost the Jets.
And who was the toughest guy you ever fought in your career?
Jordan asked me this, and I asked him if he meant on the ice or off the ice. He meant on the ice.
Yeah, on the ice.
Well, I did have a fight with Dave Semenko when I played pro, and but it was more I was dancing and he was punching. So I was hanging on and he was trying to punch me. And you got to know what you can and can't do. I wasn't gonna fight him. I just happened to turn around and react, and it happened to be him. So I hung on and went for a ride, and I'm here to tell you I survived.
I'm glad. How was it feeling being from Winnipeg when you first came to Winnipeg in '83, playing for the Jets?
Well, it was, what, little, when I was playing junior, so this goes back a little
Yeah.
ways. Winnipeg Jets, in my day, there was the NHL and the WHA. And the NHL had a draft, the WHA just tried to sign you as a player. Winnipeg tried to sign me out of Flin Flon, and I chose to sign with New England Whalers.
Okay.
So I had a chance to come the first time when I was right out of junior, but I decided to go play with Gordie Howe instead. So to come back to Winnipeg in the '83 season, and I got traded here from Minnesota, was like a dream come true, because I was able to come here and play as a visiting player, but to come and be at home now and play in front of your mom and dad, yeah, it was pretty special.
Yeah. What was your first goal like in the NHL?
First goal was in Madison Square Gardens in New York City.
Really?
Yeah. It was, I scored the third goal in a 3-3 tie, and it was a backhand slapper.
Really? Cool. Do you still have the puck?
I have the first NHL puck, and I also have my first WHA goal too.
Okay. Now we're gonna talk about today's Jets.
Okay.
If you have to compare your Jets to the newer Jets, what would the main differences be?
Well, all the players today are incredible athletes. So in my day, there'd be 4 lines on a team, and 2 lines would be exceptional or above average, and 2 would be just, let's say, grinders or hard workers or roles to play. But there would be a difference in skill level. And today, your best teams, Jets included, the skill level between the first line and the fourth line is not as great a distance anymore. They can all skate now, and they all skate very well. They're all strong. But there's also a big difference. If you guys, if you watch some YouTube, and I always enjoy this.
We always watch. I used to watch hockey fights. Man, I enjoyed those bench brawls.
It's the quickest way to the getting hurt is in a bench brawl. But I was going to say, watch Boston Bruins when they had Bobby Orr, Phil Esposito, Freddie Stanfield, all these guys, Johnny Busick. They would go on the ice for arguably 4-minute shifts. And that's when you, as a player, you learned how to, you'd have a change of pace. So you'd be out there kind of at one pace, the puck would come or there'd be an opportunity, and you'd take off. In other words, you changed your pace. So in my day, Jordan, you'd have 2-3-minute shifts.
Yeah.
You watch any game today, what do they talk about? 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's 45 seconds full speed. We never went full speed, but for a segment of a shift. So it's a hugely different game now.
You kind of laughed when I said bench brawls. Were you ever in one?
Too many of them.
Too many?
Too many
Can
of
you
them.
describe, without the colorful language, but can you describe what it is and what it was for you and your experience?
You learn really. My very first shift in junior hockey was a bench clearing brawl. We were playing an exhibition game here in Winnipeg, and my first shift on the ice. So what am I? I'm just about 17 years old, and we're playing the Winnipeg clubs, and I'm Flin Flon Bombers, and I'm the third shift out, and I get on the ice, and there's a bench clearing brawl, and that just means everybody on the ice is fighting. They're looking to dance, because everybody's trying to make a team, and they're going to make it as a player or a fighter or both. Here's the first thing you learn. Get your ass to the boards. Get your back to the boards. You want nobody behind you. You want everybody in front of you. So if you watch the guys who survive brawls, they're all working their way to the boards because they want to know that everybody's in front of them, not behind them. And the worst thing you want to see is somebody who's freelancing. And what I mean by that is you and I might be holding each other, but somebody's skating around punching, and he's by himself. Yeah. And so you're always watching for that guy. You can hold your own with one guy. It's the other 1 or 2 that are free. So you're always looking, hence why a bench clearing brawl always gravitates to somebody moving around. They're trying to tie him up, not to let him go.
Were you kind of that chirper player, or were you quiet?
Jordan, I'm one of the shyest guys you're ever going to meet.
Wow.
No, just, you learn to chirp. It's called survival. You have to be you learn very quickly to give as much as you get. And if they're going to chirp you, you better chirp back or they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I became very good at chirping.
Okay. Who's one of the guys that you chirp with? Like
You chirp with everybody.
everybody?
We're trying to get an advantage on everybody. So, that's a form of intimidation. You're trying
Like
to
what advantage would you try and get
get
as an example?
you want to try and get somebody off their game. So if somebody's having an exceptional game, you're trying to get between his ears. So you're trying to get him to think about you as opposed to his game or the team.
Like
I'll give you an example. I had a penalty shot one time in Portland, Oregon. So this was Portland Winterhawks, who arguably were the largest, still to this day, the biggest junior team ever. And we wanted to get in and out of there. I was playing with Flin Flon Bombers, and our team was awarded a penalty shot. One of the players jumped on the puck in their crease, and every one of us went back to the bench and sat there because this is coach's prerogative to pick a player. None of us wanted to be picked for the penalty shot. And Mickey Keating was our coach, and he taps me on the shoulder and he goes, "JD, you take the penalty shot." And I'm thinking, oh no, I don't want to be doing this. Because as soon as I stepped on the ice, their team started skating by going, "Jordy, we're going to kill you if you score. We're going to knock your head. We're going to take you out. We're going to send you off this ice in an ambulance." The biggest team in junior. It wasn't cool. I was trying to survive. I went down on the penalty shot thinking I'll make it look good, but I won't score. I'll just I'll make a little deke and I'll throw it in his pads. I'm thinking I can just throw it in his pads, make it look good. I'd make a deke. He bit on the deke, opened up like a Grand Canyon, and I had nothing but 5-hole to bury the puck. And they came by saying that they'd kill me, but they never did because I could outskate most of them. That's the intimidation factor.
Well, Jordy, it was good, but we gotta go.
No, I got more stories, Jordan. Hang around. I'll tell you some more.
I can hang around, but we gotta shut the cameras off. And well, thank you for coming, everybody, and see you next time.
Please like and subscribe to Jordan's YouTube channel and follow him on Twitter.